Bitcoin just hit $21,000. Crypto market right now is about $1 trillion. Looking at what's happening right now, we do get an idea that we broke to the upside. We are moving to the upside. So if you are looking at what's happening right now on the macro, you get this clarity. We talked about this some time back. So if the dollar is going to go down, what's going to happen to crypto? That was the biggest question. Right now, you go look at what's happening with dollar. Last couple of months, since the top we put here in September, we are accelerating to the downside. Right now, the crypto market is showing you it's going higher. Great. You broke this level. Your short-term targets, both of them are hit. 0.37 and 0.396 are hit for XRP. Now, the market is showing you a lot of different signs, right? And back in the days when just 2 weeks back, when the market was this low, not everyone was bullish. But we had a thought process like if we are breaking through this, it does show you some bullish narrative in the market. And a couple of months back, while we were discussing through that, and then 2 weeks back, we actually had a discussion like, okay, this is 16,500. And historically speaking, this is the bottom. You reach the 200-day moving average and a 50% to the downside, 55, 56%. That gives you a big run up. And that was exactly the call. Like next big run up usually happens after this. Now you look at the market and we see like a lot of different coins are actually doing 100% in a week. Now, let that be in the first 100, let that be in the next 100. You see a lot of different coins doing this, right? So in the first 100, you actually see Gala doing this. So go back and what we were discussing about Gala a week before when it was still at 0.026. Right now, it has already doubled. And that's what we're talking, right? In a week, that just happened. Now look at Mana. It's like 66% right now. But if you look at this chart, we were already discussing that we are going to come towards 0.5. That's going to be a resistance. We broke that level right now, 0.56. That's just in first 100. Now, this is crypto market. You have a ton more assets. Here, you see AGIX, Singularity Net, 200% in 7 days. So you go look at the chart and we are like, okay, this is a possible move. Look at the RSI. It actually shows you it broke higher, consolidated, is preparing for the next run. And right now, earlier today, when we were at 0.165, we were like, okay, this may actually repeat here, right? So you may consolidate. So right now, when you look at the price, you do see the possibility of a consolidation. Now, we don't know whether we are going to break higher or not, but there is a possibility. That's what we rely upon, right? Now, if you stand here in that same standpoint and you look at all these coins, we discussed about Fiat yesterday, we discussed about Harmony, we discussed about Ocean. All of these have different targets and breakouts happening right now. That is a huge change in the market. I actually saw a tweet from John asking like, 2 weeks ago, there was like a lot of people calling for 10K. Right now, everyone is calling for 30. I agree. And I see someone posting from BCB here. And I'm like, yeah, that's true, right? We are actually seeing big candle coming in. And looking back at what we were actually talking about this. We were saying, okay, this is going to happen. We don't know when, but there is a huge possibility that we may start the next big run. Why? Because almost all the time, history repeats. History actually rhymes. And looking at the short term towards macro, it gives us a sense of something is happening. Now, do we think this is going to continue till a year? No one knows. But the way dollar is breaking to the downside, it does show you we may actually consolidate in dollar and then continue towards the downside of 94. And if history repeats, that means This is the range where we see the biggest run up in crypto. Dollar dropped first, agreed, but when it consolidated and dropped further, that's when crypto made all-time highs. That is what we are going to look further in this description. Now, yes, the macro sound different. Gold prices are hitting highs. You actually see central banks coming out in a different way. Last month, we actually saw Australian central bank coming out talking about, okay, we may have to, slow down, pause, right? Then this time around, it's actually South Korea. November 24, we actually see them talking about the same thing. So the fundamentals are still there. You actually see different projects evolving in different ways. Then you see Credible actually coming out and saying, okay, there's a huge possibility the dominance can do this. And right now it's actually doing that. So while talking about the wave 3 in Bitcoin and wave 2 for a lot of altcoins, this kind of reinforces the thought process that we are going to see massive rallies in strong coins, and especially when big players, giants in the market like billionaires, those who are worth hundreds of millions of dollars, and investors, investing firms, family offices, all of them enter this space. They are literally looking for assets which can do big numbers, but they have volume, they have liquidity, and it's a strong project. That's where XRP is going to stand tall, and I think this is going to do more than 40x in the next run up. Welcome to the Scientific Investor family, where the normal retail guys learn how to become the next top 10% in crypto. Last time in the altcoin market, we saw 1,400x of run up. Then you come into the XRP and you see it also did 1,400x. This time around, if you're taking it from the bottom till the top, you can say, okay, there is a 500x possibility in the altcoin market. Now, plotting that 500% here is not actually bad. You can actually try and do that. But again, that's from the bottom of the bear market. So you kind of get like around $60, $65. Say if you put that into 500x, yeah, close to $60. Now, with the SEC case running, without the real clarity, do we think it's going to follow the entire market run? No one knows. But what we do know is there is still a possibility we may follow this run up with all the positive sentiment regarding the SEC case and the market sentiment. So what will that 40x look like in XRP? That is actually from the current bottom. So you actually take 40x and it shows you somewhere close to $12 and $15. That is the volatility range with the standard deviation. Right now we are below 0.4. So that is literally giving you 30 to 50x range in XRP, which is one of the slowest assets in the market right now. Agreed? Now you look for the opportunity of, yeah, that can literally even go up to $60 inside this run up. Now one of the primary concern, this entire run up happened when the altcoin market was doing much lower than that. So XRP did a 700, 750x when the altcoin market, now this is really important, when the altcoin market did a 350x. So the XRP did double than the market during wave 2. And in wave 1, XRP was super slow. Now we go back into the XRP and imagine that the market is going to do 40x, but XRP is going to do double than that. Fine. Now you are going to argue that, okay, we may actually go up to a 80 to 100x here. So your range for wave 2 now is around $26. We were talking about 22, but that's the range. 18 to 25, 18 to 26 can be the range. Keeping in mind that the standard deviation of XRP usually go a long way. Even though the move was 0.32 here, you actually reach 0.47. So you may still reach $30 for wave 2, But having a conservative target and exit ranges will be beneficial. So if XRP is going to do 40 to 80, 90x on the conservative side, and for the whole bull market, maybe 60 to $100, that is still going to be big numbers, because if you imagine it's going to come to $25 and then drop, say 80, 85%, you're going to say, okay, we are going to retest the all-time highs with that drop. Now, with the historical movement, we know that XRP can actually do 30, 40x from that bottom. Now you actually put that number here, and if you want to really plot that 30, 40x, you go in big numbers. We are saying somewhere in between $60 to $100. So that still is in the range and the history. So now you have idea where XRP can actually move. That's just in XRP. Now, in last 2 years, what we have gone through is something brutal. And a lot of people went and diversified. They have a lot of different assets. Different assets are showing you different signals. We all agree on that one. Say, look at this. This is ALBT, a strong project, which is a micro cap. We had this call, and right now we hit this target. Right now it's at 0.08 or close to that. So understanding the market and how things are evolving inside the market kind of gives you an edge, right? It's a coin which is in the 400 to 500 range. We are at 0.082, and you actually see the fluctuation happening here. In last week, it has done 85%. And that's where this actually comes into picture, right? The RSI, the MACD, the price action all gave you this idea of I'm going higher. Now, if you are looking for such calls where you actually see like, okay, we are breaking higher or we are hitting the targets. If you are there to take your profits, that's the important level to look at. That's what we are doing here. We are trying to stay live and updated in the market so that you actually know what's happening. When this was actually peaking, running great, we were like, okay, don't chase green candles. Opportunities will come. And when you are sitting back, these are like, okay, we hit target 1, now we are hitting target 2. Go look at the market. You don't have a lot of assets which are actually doing 100% over a week, right? We have actually looked at some of these. And then first 100, the next 100, the next 100. When you are looking through this, you actually really get an idea that some of these assets are actually doing that, right? It's actually giving you a clear idea that we are having opportunity. But then you actually see people coming in the market and giving you that narrative like, no, not every coin moves up. And then there's an opposite side which say, no, there's a bull market. Whichever coin you pick, everything goes up, right? So here's Render. It's already done 30% and it's done 18% over the day. But on the other side of this, look at this area. You have assets which are doing in negative numbers, are not doing any good in a market when Bitcoin is doing over 10% a day. Now that's actually a big move. You need to understand that when Bitcoin is doing 10%, Ether is doing close to 10%. If it's not even moving, you really have to think what that asset is about. You really have to ask that question, are you in the right asset? So when we are going through all this, when we are trying to read through things, we sit there trying to understand which is breaking higher. Is this positive? What's your targets? If you're taking profits, what kind of exits you should be looking at? Not for an asset, because we have hundreds or thousands of assets in this asset class, and we are literally looking for something which have liquidity, which is breaking higher, which makes sense technically and fundamentally. So some of these are looking opportunities, right? We were talking about all these opportunities a day or two back, and right now you go into the market and you see like these are actually exploding. Say VXV for that matter. You're coming here, you're taking that's like 400 coin in the market, and you see like it has already done 112% for the week. So now the primary question is, okay, if you are looking at it on a 7-day basis, it's running higher. And you do understand that on a macro pattern, it's just starting. Now go look at what that project is about. Go look at the adoption, where it's being used, and you're like, okay, there is something which you have to read through and understand. Now, you may not like all the projects, But in this market, you do have a lot of projects which are getting adoption. Agreed. Not everything comes close to the adoption cycle of XRP or the way it's being built. And that is where the fundamental comes in. And Ripple kind of gives you this. 2023 is a pivotal year for the regulation in crypto. So what are we going to see? No one knows. Right now, it will just be a speculation if we say we are going to get complete clarity this year. But we do understand that there is big things coming in the market. These are not positive. But understand, if you are not paying your card right now or your mortgage right now, they're not going to kick you out the next day. They give you 3 months, they give you 6 months, depending upon the bank policies, right? Now, you look at this. BNY Mellon is like 43 trillion assets under custody, and they say this. Read this once, twice, or how many times you want, but digest it properly. This is important for 2023. You may ask, why is that? And I would say, look at that. That's 43 trillion assets under custody. And if they are putting this one, they are giving it for their customers, their clients, and the world as well. So one, they are big and their clients are going to look at that. Two is that their competitors will also look at what they are doing. They are big. They reached there because of a reason. They try to understand the market. They logic the market and put their investments. Now, when they give you this narrative of ignoring crypto would be like sticking with paper and not adopting a computer. That's technology. Especially this technology is for one purpose: payments, exchange of value. Then connected with that comes in like smart contracts and NFTs, all the other things with that. But right now, you see a massive change in the market where 2023 is going to be a great year. Now, did we talk about this from some time? A week back, we were saying this. First half of 2023 is going to be big. Not a lot of people agreed. And we can see from one thing, the market sentiment is dropping, that the viewer count is dropping. But you stand there. You stand the ground and give the truth. We talked about this possibility, and that's starting. Look at what we talked in the last video. We talked about XRP being the wild card and next bull run and targets for Bitcoin. Right now, you go to the market and you're like, okay, some of those targets are already hit in Bitcoin because it was short-term targets, right? 19K, 20,000, 21. We are there at 21 right now. We already hit 21 and above. So when you are in the market, you can look and understand what's hype and what's real documents on facts and fundamentals. Here in this video, we discussed through one thing: portfolio managers giving money into crypto. Did we? We did go in detail. Right now, when you look at BNY Mellon giving you this, who do you think is giving you this idea to the top people? That is the portfolio managers who actually manage the real money. And why is that? They get the certification from here, and even that completely conservative agency, which is, having high quality and name and relevance, is giving you this thought process. Now, yes, that was 3 days back when we gave you this, and that document was issued in Jan 2023. So the massive change in the market is here, and we are just $1 trillion. So in the same document, we compared it with a lot of different markets and the possible amount of money coming into this market. So if you are here and you're saying, no, we are not going to go above $5 trillion, you're going to be surprised in next 3 to 6 months. You look at currency supply and what they have done. I mean, the central banks, what they have done to the currency supply. Go look at M2 money supply in your country. Let's actually look at that. M2 in India, right? I'll actually look it for India. You can look it for whichever country you are in and be surprised. Now, why is that? You actually go into a chart which looks for last 25 years and you're like, okay, the parabolic rise started from 2020. Wow. That is not normal. You should not normalize that. You look for the maximum and you see like, okay, All this time they were printing, agreed. But from here, 2020, that went parabolic. That went nuts, right? If you are looking at it, it's literally in 2 years, they did 50% of the printing. Wow. So in last 73 years, you had a currency supply. Great. But in last 2 years, 50% of that was printed. That is not good. That literally mean your currency now has less value. That's why the assets which are priced in that fiat currency is going to go higher. Now come here and look at this. I'm so surprised with this. This is just last 5 years. Look, from 2020, the way it increased is substantial. At least India has the population to claim that this is debt, right? You're printing money and saying, okay, I'm going to pay this in future. And if you don't have enough population, who is going to pay that in future? It does not make sense. So here, you're setting for Canada and you're looking at this. 2020, it just went boom. This is the real parabolic impact in the currency market. Now, argue this 1.8 and you're close to 2.5. So you literally doubled your currency supply in 2 years. Now take that into account. In last 12 years, you did 150% of the existing currencies. That is not normal, which actually means assets against your currency is actually going to go nuts. Now, for US dollar, which is most relevant for a lot of people because that's the reserve currency, and we all like to look at that. In the long-term view, you actually see how things are evolving, right? Now, okay, this chart does not actually look really great, so we'll actually try and pull up a different one. If we get the chart directly from Trading Economics, that would be better. Now, as the interest rates are going up right now, we do understand they're trying to reduce it. They are trying to hammer it. But then you zoom out and see, okay, that hammer is just a tilt on that peak of the mountain. Come back here and look at last 1 year, you feel it's going to drop or it's dropping. Then you go look at last 5 years and it's like, oh, that's a slight change. But on a macro, you feel like, no, that's nothing. So you see last 3-4 years, they pushed it from here. Now, this is the reserve currency of the world. And that is here right now. That does mean the assets which have utility, which have fundamentals, are going to run higher. But don't fall for that trap where it's like, okay, you're going to have 10, 20, 30% day every day. No, most likely you're not going to have that. And that's where technicals are valid. Now, yes, you broke higher. Most likely you're going to have a retest and then a bounce. But what happens in the market? When you have a retest and you're coming back to 18K, all the bears come in. They say, I told you that's a fake out. It's going to go lower. Now, what's the negative side of this? What can go wrong? If you put this into perspective, this level is acting as a resistance from here, and you are testing that right now. So your retest is going to be critical here. Great. If the retest is bouncing from 18, 19K, that means now you're looking for $25,000. Now, does it really make sense for you to be bearish here? If you are in the market and you are looking for like long term, and you understand that RSI is a leading indicator, which I strongly believe, it is actually showing, no, I'm actually breaking high. I'm going crazy. Buyers are now kicking the sellers. Now, on a weekly, you do get that understanding. We broke higher earlier. Right now, the price is breaking higher. So it does make a lot of sense to argue that bulls are back, right? Inside this entire run to the downside, you never saw a candle like this breaking through the 21-day moving average. Whenever in history you have done that, you started something, you went up. Now you do have the pullback, but the difference is that was a wave 1 pullback. This was a wave 2 pullback. Now when you go up in wave 3, maybe $100, maybe $120,000, but then it's the bear market. That's going to be painful. Don't go in for that trap saying next 4 years is going to be a bull market. That will be painful for you if you don't understand that you should be taking profits. And it's not only me saying that. When I see, people like Credible showing you that thought process of this is going to go high and then drop, it does make sense. The bull market is not over yet. You have started it here. You have literally did wave 1, corrected back down, wave 2, corrected back down. You may actually do a wave 3, and that cycle is done. Some of the assets have already done 3 waves, and it's really done. You don't have much more there. They may actually go up. They may not actually put in a new high. But those assets which have only done wave 1 is going for wave 2. You should not miss that. Because when Bitcoin hits the top and then drops, it will have a retracement. We will see altcoins doing wave 3 or blow off the top during that phase. In 3 to 6 months, we will revisit whatever we talked here and look whether the macro agrees with what we are talking. Right now, XRP is at 0.4, and looking back at what we were talking. Literally, these are charts, timed charts where history is there. You know what we are talking about. A week back, we were still here. We were talking like, okay, RSI gives you a clear idea. It's breaking higher. Now you hit all those targets and you're above that and you're still getting volume. Now that's something to keep in mind. We were around 300 million a week back, and right now it's 2.3 billion. So volume is coming into the market. Bitcoin is like 50 billion. Ether is like 12 billion. Now we'll have to see whether XRP is going to catch up with the volume of Ether. And if it does, prepare for the price explosion like we talked. Massive run-ups is going to come. But don't be an XRP maxi saying only this asset is going to run higher. We saw that in this market last time when the market did a 35x. Now, I'm not saying XRP is not going to do great, but I do understand that in the market we had assets like, say, for example, Matic. It kind of did like 1000x, if I remember correctly. That went nuts. When the market actually did that structure of 40x, yeah, it did 1000x. And our call was a little bit early, I agree. We told to get out by 2.3 and the market did 2.7. But, that's 1000x. You really don't want to try and catch that top. That's what we do. And if you are really here interested in these kind of posts on a regular basis so that you really know what's happening on the macro and then about all these crypto assets, now you have an edge over the market. Why? Because you know this is the target and you should be taking profit there. Whether you are a short-term trader or a long-term guy, this gives you an overall advantage in the market. And if you're looking for that kind of stuff, you can look at the Patreon. The link is given in the description below. So guys, if you received value for your time, please do hit that like and subscribe button. I'll meet you guys on the next video. Bye for now.